is now reporting there have been almost 100 vehicle attacks on federal law enforcement agents this year, where protesters are literally ramming federal border and ICE agents with cars and trucks. That's more than double the 47 by this time last year. Let's welcome back to the show U.S. Army Special Forces veteran Jim Hansen. Jim, thank you for joining us. DHS also reported an 8,000% increase in death threats against ICE agents by this October. Who do you think is behind this? Who's getting the far left to use these tactics of ramming?
I think there's been a coordinated effort for a number of years to fund these activist, extremist, and now let's call them what they are, terrorist groups, to try and commit revolutionary acts in their minds, but actually
Is he saying that these people are getting paid to do these acts? Is he saying some far left group is having these people commit these acts of violence on people who are pretty much just doing the job that they were hired to do?
Insurrection-like acts of violent terrorism, and they're trying to disrupt legal operations by federal officers. It's time for them to pay a price for that, and I think anyone who gets arrested in these, whether it's a protest, whether they're trying to stop vehicles from coming out of ICE events, or especially if they're using their vehicles as weapons, that should be charged as terrorism, and they should face a serious sentence.
Yeah, because we've been tracking the media coverage, and we don't want to come off like we're always judging the media coverage, but we don't feel like the American people are getting the full story. They're not reporting, many outlets are not reporting what ICE and border agents are doing. They're literally arresting the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens. We're talking murderers, rapists, home invasion networks, gangs coming out of South America to do home invasions, sex trafficking rings, labor trafficking rings of women and children. So this is, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin is blaming the Democrat rhetoric for these vehicular attacks. That is now the new trend to go after the men and women of law enforcement. But your thoughts on the dangerous criminals that they are picking up?
I'm glad they're gone. Put them on planes, fly them anywhere else in the world. They came here illegally, they have zero right to be here, and they're putting the law-abiding citizens of this country in danger. And as you pointed out, the media likes to cover a story, oh, the ICE agents raided a daycare where a mom was dropping off her infant and her toddler and they stole their candy. It's garbage. They're doing the world a favor by getting, or at least the U.S. citizens a favor by getting them out of here. The rest of the world may have to pay a price for that, but that's not our problem. No one has any right to force us to take criminals and allow them to operate freely in our country.
Yeah, and not including, we didn't even talk about the drug cartels operating in the U.S. I mean, Charlotte reportedly has sex trafficking rings in there run by criminal illegal aliens. So, people ask why Charlotte. That's reportedly why. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up this segment. Jim Hansen, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Turning now to the Trump administration's latest round of sweeping immigration raids. This time, it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Federal agents raided job sites and parking lots, arresting.
Well, what I was going to really say was that it just amazes me that these people have the audacity to willingly try to harm these ICE agents and run them over. But then I thought about it, and what he said rang true to me. Maybe there is some group out there that's funding these people to do these crazy acts. And it made me think back to, the No Kings protest and those people that we saw attacking the Waymo cars and all those other protests that we saw. All these people acting super duper crazy who kind of looked like they shouldn't be there, and the protest really wasn't about them. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense, because we've seen a lot of situations, and I've talked to a certain amount of people who have been approached and have done such things, gone to protest and were paid to just act violently, antagonize the situations, and they just did it as a job. And it still rings crazy to me that because I'm black, you couldn't pay me enough to act crazy with no cops because I'd, be under the jail. But it amazes me that there are people out there who would literally take some financial gain and risk their lives or their future or their family's future or time by attacking these ICE agents with their vehicles. It's just crazy to me. It's super crazy to me that they would do that. Now, mind you, I have my own problems with ICE agents. I think that for me, they're like glorified deputies. And I say that because I have a friend that just became an ICE agent not too long ago, and he was telling me about how, the process that it was, the training that they go through, which is fairly non-existent. They pretty much give you the equipment, take you to the shooting range, make sure you can shoot a gun, and then they throw you out there. And I kind of have a problem with that, other than, my ultimate problem of believing that you can never weed out bias in people who do these kind of jobs. But it just amazes me that there are people out there that would do this to risk, their freedom, which is one of the utmost important things to me. They'd risk their freedom, time with their family, the ability to support their families, and all these other things to commit an act against these people who are just standing out there doing their jobs. And if it's true that they're just getting illegal immigrants and, illegal people who are doing things wrong and filing people out of our country, we can't be mad at them for doing their jobs. All right, guys, I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. I'm Chris Surratt. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. Hit me in the DMs if you have any questions. And I'm out. Peace.